Hi guys, welcome to the first ever flipped lesson. Today what I'm going to teach you is about what a fraction is, why we use it, and how to use it. So first off, let's turn around, let's take a look at this. What is a fraction? So you guys probably have an idea because we've been working on decimals a lot lately. However, what we're going to do now is we're going to go into fractions a little more, into smaller numbers, and how a whole can be something different than what we think a whole as. So what a fraction is a way to represent division of a whole number into different parts. What might it look like? Well, let's look right here. We have 3/4 or 3/4 is what sometimes we call it. And we have a numerator, which is the number that it shows the number of parts being shown. And then right here we have the denominator, which shows the total number of parts in the whole. So it could be a 1, it could be a 5, it could be anything depending on what you're talking about. What I'd like you to do right now is I'd like you to ask yourself this question. What are some fractions that I already know? Okay. Now the next thing I want you to think about is when do you actually use fractions? So what I've done up here is I've added the question, and then I've given you some examples. So first off, you can start with measurement. Most of us use a ruler that has about a foot, and it has 12 inches within that foot. If I said I need a half of a foot, I would take 12, I would divide it into two groups, I would find the number 6, and it would be 6 out of 12, which would look like this. 6 out of 12, or 1/2 of this. So when it's saying 1/2 of a foot, you're actually splitting the whole piece in half. And now we know we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 inches. Okay, next up, you can also split something like this, like a clock, into quarters, which we often do. We also split it into 60 minutes, or we could split it into 5-minute increments. So right here what I've done is I've said it's a quarter of 1. If I say it's a quarter of 1, what I mean by that is it's 15 minutes before the hour. You've probably heard your parents say that before. So when you think of a clock, I want you to think of it as into 4 groups. So right here I've split it down here, and I've split it across here. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 groups, and I'm saying that this is on the 45-minute mark, which means there's one whole section right here out of 4 total that we're going to have until we get to 1 o'clock. Next up, we're looking right here at an array. Right here we have a 4x4, which is equal to, okay, you probably know it. Now what we're going to do is we have to take this whole number, which would be 16, and we have to divide it into 2 groups. If I ask you how much half of the array is, I'm splitting it into 2 groups. That means I'm splitting this whole thing into 2. If I said a quarter, I would be splitting it in half again, and so on. So that's another example. Right here, we also have making change. So if I go to a store and I have 4 quarters and I know something only costs 1 quarter, I can say my 4 quarters, I take away 1 out of the 4, and I have 1/4, which you guys also know a quarter as 25 cents out of 100 cents, or $1. Okay, now another thing is we're going to take a look right now at some ways that we can measure liquids. So sometimes, most of you have probably seen a measuring cup that was 1 cup, and in a baking recipe, you're probably asked for a 1/2 cup, 1/4 cup, 1/3 of a cup, and you use that measuring cup to help you. Right now, I'm going to show you something that's very special about this that we're going to do. So if you take a look, we have 1 cup here. It's split up into quarters, so we have 1 quarter, we have 2 quarters, or 1/2, 3 quarters, and 1 cup. On the other side, it also has thirds, so that helps us out a little bit. But if we have to do some more division, if we were to split a recipe, we would actually have to divide this into 2 groups to find out half of the liquid. So we're going to get to the chance to do that in the next couple weeks, and it's going to be a lot of fun, so be prepared. We might also use tablespoons or teaspoons to do this. So we're going to be looking at some conversions from ounces to cups to tablespoons and teaspoons and so on. So get ready for that. Also, what we're actually going to start with is using an egg carton that looks like this. And what we're going to do is we're going to figure out how many different groups we can split 1 dozen eggs into to figure out how much would be in each section. So if we look at this, we have 12 eggs that would fit in here. If I split it in half, I'm going to split it right down this line because I know 6 plus 6 is equal to 12. Or 12 divided by 2 is 6.